Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Clockwork Cantina, episode 152. I'm one of your hosts, Josh 902, and this is the other host of this show.
I'm DT3. What's going on, everyone? Hello. Hi.
Greetings, my friends. How are we all doing today? Hope you're all doing well. Hope you're ready for a good long show. We have things to talk about. We have news. In the second half of the show, we will be talking about DC Comics The Authority, Part 1, because we split it in half. Um, and yeah, that's what we'll be doing for today's show. Also, 152 episodes. It is crazy that we have done this show for so long. I'm so glad we get to.
152.
I'm so glad we get to every week or about every week when there's not things going on. Get on here, talk the news with you guys, talk the news with one of my best buds, DT over here, and occasionally when we have a guest to be on as well to talk that kind of stuff. So,
We did last
um,
week with our friend Baba.
yeah, which is absolutely a blast, and Baba was great on the show, and we all hope you enjoyed her because we enjoyed her being here, and she will definitely
Yeah.
be back in the future. Um, Also, Baba stream win. Um,
Just about what everybody's been asking her since she's been here, since she came on.
yeah, facts. Um, let's just go ahead and hop into it, DT. Unless there's anything you want to chat about, my friend, before we hop into it. But what have we been doing the past week, DT? What have you
Now,
got,
let's,
my
let's,
friend?
so over the past week, I have, as always, continued to watch my movies for, the daily movie that I try to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I watched EO, I watched Desperado, I watched Once Upon a Time in Mexico. I watched the Lord of the Rings animated 1978 film, which was a trip to watch. I watched this horror movie called Hush, and then lastly, this uh, German science fiction expressionism film from 1927 called Metropolis. That movie is crazy to watch because well, especially knowing what happens over there at the time, right? Like, the
Mm-hmm.
Nazis were formed in 1920 and that movie came out in 1927. It was around that time period. But also, it's crazy to watch because that movie is a silent film, dude. And it's like I can't remember the last time I watched a movie that was a silent film where it's like they have intermissions and it's like they throw up like dialogue on the screen sometimes or and it's like nuts, dude. It's nuts watching something like that now,
Mm-hmm.
because I just haven't seen anything like that in like, a very long time. So it's yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, those are the movies I watched. And then TV show wise, Mando, obviously keeping up with that. Bad Batch, obviously keeping up with that. Uh Ted Lasso started season 3. Good to have that show back because love it. It's fantastic. That was fun. And then I watched episode 2 of True Detective. I'm like averaging an episode of a week for that show. I try to get one in, but it's good, man. It's real good. Shout out to Alexandra Daddario if you know what I mean. If you know what I mean. Because man, that was not. Anyway, but aside from that, the show is pretty good though. Uh, Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey are killing it in that. Looking forward to watching the rest of that. And then video game wise, been playing Fortnite, played a little bit of Overwatch, played Apex for the event. Um, been playing more Yakuza Zero. I should be wrapping that game up tomorrow, I believe. So tomorrow on stream, I'll probably be finishing that up. But videos have been going up on YouTube, so the whole playthrough is going to be on there as always with most of the games that I do. Uh, had a few sponsored streams for War Thunder that I did. Uh, Exo played a little bit of the Exo Primal beta which that game was pretty fun. I been having fun with that one. I've enjoyed it. I think the beta ends today though, or if it isn't already over. But yeah, that's been enjoyable. I actually was having more fun with that than I thought I was going to.
Mm-hmm.
I know Jake was enjoying that a lot more too. But yeah, it's a fun game, man. Um, and then lastly, I played a little bit of Sea of Thieves on Saturday. Just joining another friend's stream, playing for a little bit. I haven't played that game in a while. They always do, updates and stuff every so often, so it's cool to just go back into it and check it out for a little bit. That's pretty much been what I've been up to.
All right. On my end, it has been Mando, obviously, watching Mando. I can't wait till we talk about Mando.
Oh yeah.
Ted Lasso I'm so glad that Ted Lasso's back. I need it in my life, man. Needed it. Um, uh, for a long time.
It's a fun
Uh,
show, man.
and yeah, those are like the only shows I've watched. Really. I haven't watched any movies. Can you believe I've gone a whole week without watching a single movie? It seems so weird. I also missed Bad Batch. Yeah, I meant to watch it, but just this past week's been a little busy. So I will probably watch it after we're done with the podcast. Um, uh, my main things the past 2 weeks have been the Diablo 4 beta because a certain Kentucky colonel was like, "Hey, come get a chicken sandwich. We'll give you a code, right? And you can get into the."
Yeah.
They call it an open beta, but it's like a closed open beta, right? It's weird.
Right. The open beta is supposed to be starting what, like this upcoming week?
Yeah, it'll be this
Like
upcoming
actually?
weekend. So this past weekend was like if you pre-ordered the game or had one of the KFC um beta codes they give you, you could play this weekend. I know myself and our boy Majin Shan hopped on, some of our other friends, Phenom, Winner, all hopped on and played up at different points in the beta. I played up a barbarian, in
Barbarian.
barbarian. Yeah. But yeah, Diablo 4 beta. I played barbarian. Was fun. Had a lot of fun. Hit level 21. So I unlocked my wolf backpack, which is like kind of like the whole reason I played it. And I want to check out Diablo 4 and see how it's coming along. So I had fun with it. Obviously, I had issues with as any massively hyped up thingamajig does, as in login queues. I know there were a lot of people streaming it. They got login queues. I got login queues that first day a lot. And there were bugs that happened. Like I was talking to an NPC at one point, and the dialogue bugged, and I couldn't continue, and I had to alt F4 the game. And when I went to log back into the game, I had to wait in queue again. So that was kind of like that first day was a little rough. After that, it's still they're still working out some kinks. It's still a little laggy and stuff, but the gameplay's fun. The art's good to look at. I like it. I think I like how it looks more than Diablo 3. I think I like the skill tree a little bit more. Overall I had fun. I got to play with Majin a little bit, and that was fun playing with your homies. The other thing I've been playing, and this is actually taking up the majority of my time, is WWE 2K23. Now, guys, last year I played 2K22, and I'm not one of those guys that buys a sports game every year. But they improved it so much from last year to this year because I really wanted to do GM mode, which I did a little bit in Discord the other night. DT was there, and some of the others were there, and we were just laughing at some of the crazy things that happened during the GM mode. And I've just been having a lot of fun playing it. I'd probably be playing it right now if we weren't doing the show, but we're doing the show, so gotta temper that urge to boot it up in the background while we talk about this. Not to do that. But I'm definitely having a lot of fun with that. I've played like 20 hours the past week. And then the last thing I've done is I cleaned up the workshop with my old my old man, my dad. And I cleaned up the workshop. We kind of share the workshop space. And as you guys know, I'm a dice maker, but I haven't been making a lot of dice in the wintertime because it's just so cold out in the workshop. So it's kind of gotten a little dirty in there, and I kind of rearranged and redid some stuff in there to kind of get ready to make some dice. I did make a set of dice, but they have not been cleaned, polished, inked, any of that stuff. Because it's just we had a cold snap again, and it's really cold, and I'm just, if I'm gonna do something, I want to be comfortable while doing it. So, I will be getting back to that relatively soon, as soon as this weather kind of straightens out, which I think it's going to in the next few days. We got some like 70s and 60-degree days coming, so it's gonna be good. So that's kind of all that I've been up to the past week, DT. That's it for me, my man.
Cool.
Not a whole lot of variety, but a lot of the same. You know, a lot of WWE for sure. Let's go ahead and hit the gaming news. What do you say, DT? Should we do it?
Let's do it, I suppose.
I suppose. What do we got first, my friend?
All right. So, first piece of gaming news we have today is that Tron Identity has got an April release date and a new gameplay trailer.
Cool. I've been kind of curious about this. I have not seen it.
You got a minute. It's a minute long. Let's check it out whenever you're ready.
Yeah, let me cue up this video, guys. Whoop, started playing. That's not what I want. Reset that and okay, I'm ready. Sorry.
All right, ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Tron Identity. Oh boy, not puzzles. Oh no.
Yeah, definitely not my strong suit.
Illuminate the truth. April 11th, available or wish list now. Going to be available on the Nintendo Switch as well as Steam. Coming out on April 11th. So yeah, there it is. The trailer description says says enter a new grid and forge alliances via a visual novel gameplay, uncovering truths about identity disc puzzles, make critical decisions, and plot your own course in a world without a creator. So there you have it. You know what would be like what I was thinking of as like we're getting all these like survival games, like we're getting a Dune survival game, and we're getting like, you know, Nightingale and all this other stuff. I'm like, man, how cool would it be to have like a Tron survival game, man? I don't know how that would work exactly, but that'd be cool, man. Or
Yeah,
Tron RPG or something, you know?
just something to kind of get in that world. Yeah, it could
Yeah.
fit. Could fit in just about any genre. I feel like you could have a shooter, you could have an RPG, you could have just about anything that fits in the Tron world. It'd be cool. It'd be cool. I'm not a visual novel guy. I don't think I've ever even really played any of them, to be honest. So I don't know how into this I would be, or if I'm even gonna check it out or not. But I do like the Tron world.
Yeah.
All right. What do we have next, DT?
Moving on from that, we have a update on System Shock, the remake. The System Shock remake is going to be launching on PC this May. Uh May 30th to be exact. Will be available first on Steam, the Epic Game Store, and GOG for at 30 for $39.99. While the PlayStation and Xbox versions will release at an unspecified later date. Um, this game has been in the works in some form since at least 2016. Uh, and now we're getting closer and closer to it actually being released and actually coming out. So we have a release date. There's a price. There's it's coming to PC first and then consoles later. But yeah, it's cool, man. This game has looked awesome to me up until this point. I never played the original, so I definitely want to try this remake out because it looks pretty awesome. Um, so
Yeah, I
yeah,
never
it's
have
cool.
either.
Very good.
Also,
Looks
thank
good.
God it's not another $70 game. I appreciate that. Like
Yeah.
a price point that's fairly reasonable, more than reasonable, really, because a lot of games are $60 too, and this is going to be a $40 game. I've also never played the original System Shock, and I would be interested in checking this out as well when I have the time, because I know it's a very much beloved series by multiple people. So definitely want to check that out.
All right, moving on from that, we have an Atlas Fallen Rise from Dust gameplay trailer.
Cool.
So let's
Let's
check
check
this
her out.
out. We got a few videos here in a row to watch, so let's do this one first. If you're ready,
Eddie.
let's check it out. 3, 2, 1, go.
I have not seen
You
this
should
yet.
have kept
I haven't seen it either. But I want to see more about this game because as of right now, it's one of the ones that looks like it could be like it looks like it has potential, but I just need to see more,
Yeah, same.
I am the order of this world. I am its rule. You may think you have power. But your struggle is futile.
Looks very Monster Hunter-y, kinda.
I will bury you like the rest of them.
Okay. So there it is, Rise from Dust. It does look very Monster Hunter. I was even thinking that with like the big ass weapons they're using too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean it looks all right. I mean, I don't know. So far it's not like blowing me away or anything, but it looks okay.
Yep. I think graphically it looks good. I want to see more.
Yeah, I still need to see more because that like if you're gonna tell me based off of that, like is that something I would want to play? Probably not. I don't know. I want to see more. I want to see more like actual gameplay instead of like just here's a trailer, voiceover, and like a little bit of gameplay to it. Like I want to see like actual like extended gameplay from it
What's the date on that again? It says May, right?
for Atlas Fallen.
Yeah. May 16th. Feel like there should be more out there about this since it just comes out in like a couple months, and that seems like not a lot.
A little less than 2 months. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, what's next, DT? If we're done with that,
We have a Remnant 2 handler class revealed coming to us from IGN.
Take a look, shall we?
Let's check this out if you're ready. 3,
I'm ready.
2, 1, go.
You can lead me into parts unknown, and I will follow.
I was not expecting this music, to be honest.
I wasn't either.
Bring back the light where only darkness lies, and we will see it through.
This just reminds me of Dog Meat from fucking Fallout.
Mm-hmm.
Against all odds, still survive. Facing the world that's overthrown by nightmare. There's one who tested time. You can lead me into parts unknown, and
I the music is just makes me want to laugh.
the world that
It's
ruins we've lost.
I was thinking that they were gonna play this music at first and then they would change it, but I don't know. There it is. But we know what class Phenom's gonna play.
Yep. Well,
I mean, looks pretty cool.
yeah, I mean the game looks fun. The
But
music
I
choice
just-
was a little odd.
Yeah, the music choice threw me off from the beginning, but I mean, you know, it makes sense. Dog, companionship, whatever.
Yep.
No, yeah, it looks cool, man. This game looks better and better than the first one did. I enjoyed the first one, but
Mm-hmm.
this one just looks so much better. It's crazy.
Sure.
I
Alright. Mhm.
I am definitely gonna be checking this out at some point, but what I was gonna say is the class that I'm gonna be trying out is the one we saw last week, the gunslinger. That looks like more my kind of deal. Do we actually know how many classes are supposed to be in this, or are they just like revealing them slowly?
Let me Google. I'm actually curious about this. Remnant 2 classes. That's perks. A quick Google is not giving me a quick answer, so I don't know off the top of my head.
Well, either way, I'm sure we'll be watching these as they come out.
Yeah.
This game doesn't really have a release date either, right? Does it? No, it just says coming soon. Okay, well, that's fine. So yeah, they'll probably still be pumping out more of these like class videos and we'll check out. We'll be checking them out for sure. This is a game that is on our radar. I mean, like I said, I played a little bit of the first one, and it was fun. But this one just looks like already, even just a little that we've seen, looks like it's gonna be even better.
Okay.
Moving on from that, if you got nothing to add on to that,
Nope. I'm ready.
we have a release date reveal trailer for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game. Let's check this. This is a very quick one too, only 30 seconds. So let's check it out. 3, 2, 1, go. Oh man, slash,
We
slash,
just starting off with getting shanked. Damn.
Everybody's just getting shanked. Oh, chainsaw, there it is. Oh, look at that technical test, May 25th, and the official release date, August 18th. All right,
They
interesting.
they wasted no time. We're gonna shank the shit out of you and then give you the date. uh, cool. It'll be fun to check out with friends, maybe.
That release date is interesting because the events of the first movie took place on August 18th, and that's when they're releasing the game. So
That's cool.
that's cool. Little fun little thing that they did with that. Yeah, I know that like a few of our friends were looking forward to this game, and you know I I don't know how like I've played too many of these like you know your survivors and killers kind of games. Like I've played a bunch of those, and like I'm kind of getting to the point with those where like how we got with battle royales a few years ago, where it's like, man, we're kind of there's too many of these now. Like that's kind of little bit how I'm feeling with these now, because like there's Dead by Daylight and there's Prop Night and there's this game and that game and Friday 13th, and it's like there's so many of them now. But if they could, I think the thing with this one is that there's gonna be more than one killer because it's gonna be Leatherface and like the family, right, against like survivors or whatever. So
Yeah.
could be interesting. I'll try to see if I can get into the technical test. Um, and then we'll see how we feel about the game from there. And maybe if it's good, maybe we'll get it. But yeah, I'll definitely try to get another technical test and try it out. But it's cool that it has release dates now.
Yeah.
Uh, Techland, the Dying Light studio, reveals a look at its new narrative-driven fantasy RPG game. So last year, Dying Light 2's studio Techland revealed the first look at its unannounced fantasy RPG that's now in development, and now the studio has released another conceptual look at the game. Back when Techland revealed it was working on his game in May of last year, it referred to the unannounced game as a AAA open world action RPG in a fantasy setting. Today's new concept art, or when this came out, uh, when this was posted, rather, features a concept art with some additional details. This time with more focus on how the game is narrative driven, epic. Uh, the tweet says, "We never stop improving. Our newest game is set to be a narrative driven fantasy epic with an exotic open world ready to be explored. We strive to create a compelling story focused AAA title that combines and refines the best aspects of gameplay that Techland is known." That's pretty cool. I haven't played Dying Light 2, but Josh and I actually co-streamed the first Dying Light. We had a good time with that one.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely be keeping an eye on their next game. Because a fantasy epic exotic open world RPG sounds like it could be good.
Right up my
Depending on
alley for sure.
how they do it. So definitely will be keep an eye on that, like I said. Um in other news, we had some um pretty rough out of the nowhere news uh
Yeah.
that Lance Reddick passed away on this past Friday. Um and he was a big part of Destiny, the video game, and players all over the world have been, paying tribute to him in the game and all that. And there's been like Bungie put out a statement, and you do see people like in game, just gathering near the character that he voiced, Zavala, and you know, it's that is so, man, so it was so unexpected. It was one of those things that when I saw that, I was like, it kind of was like so unexpected. Like, you remember, like, when it reminded me of like when Chadwick passed away, because it was so
Mm-hmm.
like sudden, and like nobody was expecting that, or nobody knew that, man. It was just one of those, like, damn, like, really, like, damn. I still don't even know how. I think I saw somewhere that it was like natural causes or something, but man, like, he was so young, dude. He was only 60 years old, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that is nuts. So I couldn't believe it when I saw that, man. It was just one of those things that's like, damn, that's that's really that's really a shame, man. It is. But you know, rest in power to him. Much love to his friends and family. But it's cool seeing everybody, share their love, their admiration, their, you know, fond memories, and just celebrating and saluting the man, because he really did seem like a good dude, man.
Yeah, I know he seemed to really care about the Destiny community. I think he was like a player of Destiny. Um, they were saying uh, in some circles. So he was like one of us, man. He was a gamer, and it really sucks that you lose somebody that's like a part of. Feels like a part of you, because uh, they're a voice. You hear them in your games. They're in movies, so they feel like you have a connection with them. In some ways, you care about the actors a lot of the times in your video games or in your movies. So it really, it was a bummer, man. I'm still bummed about it. I was bummed when I learned about it. I was just like, I couldn't believe it. It was another one of those shocking things that happened, and it just was. Yeah, I was still shocked by it that he's gone. So it's a bummer. It's a real bummer.
Yeah. John Wick 4 is gonna hit different, man.
Mm.
Gonna be rough, because he still has a few other projects that he was in that haven't been released yet. Like John Wick 4 is supposed to be coming out soon. He's in that. He was in the Ballerina spinoff. He did, like, I think, the Percy Jackson show on Disney Plus. So he still has stuff coming, like in the works that hasn't come out yet, man. So we're still gonna be seeing a bit more of him uh over the next probably couple years here. So it's a shame, man, because he seemed like a really good dude, like I said, and yeah, you know, R.I.P. to him. There's another good one that's gone too soon.
Sure.
Um, no easy way to transition out of that one, so we're just gonna talk about how we had a new Star Wars Jedi Survivor uh story trailer today,
You do.
and I actually already watched this. I reacted to it. So if you guys want to see my first initial thoughts on it, go check it out. It's
I
up
also
on
did.
the YouTubes. So
Yeah.
go check that out. Go check Josh's out. If you guys want to hear our initial thoughts on it. I just I've been waiting on this, man. I
Mm-hmm.
can't wait for. I still need to get this game, like, pre-order it or whatever, because it's gonna happen. Like,
Yeah.
I just need to, be able to do it, but it's gonna happen. And this game looks phenomenal. We're gonna watch it. We're gonna talk about it, all right?
Yeah.
Because I think this trailer was fucking awesome. So let's go ahead and give it a go. If you're ready, Josh.
I'm ready.
3, 2, 1, go.
It's been a long
That purge
5
trooper
years.
fly out of there. Been a long 5 years and a shitty novel in between.
We've tried to resist.
Those resistance people look interesting. I like the armor. that they
Yeah.
got on.
Fear.
The frog man, don't hurt the frog man. How dare you?
Cal. Look
Dude,
into the fire.
seeing Marin again? Yes, been waiting to see her. And then your boy Greasy Money, let's go, Grease, dude.
Unchecked.
Fuck, I can't wait to play this game, dude.
Everything.
I cannot wait to jump back into this character and meet these old friends again.
To this unworthy machine of an empire.
Look at Marin using the force and
May feel
whooping
beyond
ass.
her grasp. But I think we finally found somewhere the empire can't reach us.
Imagine. No more looking over your shoulder.
A place that's worth fighting for.
Yeah, it's
No
cool
matter
seeing the
the
crew
cost.
back together again. Man, I'm so ready, dude. I'm so ready to play this game.
Same. I'm excited, bro.
Cannot wait.
It's good to see
Can't wait
everybody back
to-
again, and it's really
Yeah.
cool that they kind of are out. Or at least some of them are out in the world, kind of with you. You know, fighting with you.
Yeah, like there
Yeah.
was the one with Marin, right? You're talking about
Mhm.
that was seeing that when I saw that, I was like, yo, that is a cool new thing that they're gonna be adding, which looks like you can do that with multiple characters as well, because you know, you can do it with her and then that new character that they showed in the trailer as well, that they've shown in the marketing for this game so far. Looks like he's gonna be you know, part of that as well. But man, I saw this, got super hype. I was already hyped and excited, but this just made me even more excited. I seriously can't wait to play this damn game, dude. I April 28th, we're, you know, about a month away, but dude,
Mhm.
I'm so ready, bro. I can't wait to play this game, man. Yeah, go watch our reactions,
So
man. We
that
wanna get our
that
first
other
thoughts.
actor's Charles, right, from Red Dead? Because that I know his voice. I'm like, that's got to be him, and then
I was so as I was watching the trailer, I was thinking, wait a minute, I recognize that voice, and I was like, I couldn't remember where. I couldn't remember if he like been in Star Wars before, or if like he was from something else. But I was like, I recognize his voice, but I don't know where. I don't know where the hell he's from though. But
I
maybe
think it's
I'm not sure.
Charles. So I've pulled up the IMDb. It shows the actor that played Charles Smith from Red Dead is in Jedi Survivor. I think that's him, right? What's that? Do we have that? It says his name here, but I don't. Yeah,
Could be.
that is him. That's him. Yep, that's him. It's Charles. Which is also what's funny is he's Vice Admiral Rampart in the Bad Batch.
Ah, that's why I recognize his voice. I was
Mhm.
like, I recognize him in something, but I couldn't fucking remember what he was in.
He's in a lot of things. The dude's prolific.
Yep, Charles Smith, Vice Admiral Rampart. Yeah, okay, damn. All right.
That's our homie. Cool.
Cool. And now he's gonna be this new character as well. Interesting. All right.
Yeah, that's cool. Pretty cool. But I was like, that's Charles, right? Like when I heard it, I was like, I'm pretty sure I know that.
Mm.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm excited as fuck for this game. I can't wait. Well, I know you'll be playing it. I'll be playing it.
Yeah, I'm gonna be streaming this like day one, dude. I can't wait.
Yeah, yeah, it's gonna be fun.
It's not often I get games day one these days, but this is definitely gonna be one of them. Yeah. I mean, come on, how could I not? Yeah, that looks great. Looks amazing. I'm excited. I can't wait. The last piece of gaming news we have here is that apparently Zack Snyder let it slip that he's making a ridiculous scale RPG video game based on his movie Rebel Moon. So it looks like they're building up a Rebel Moon universe over there with Netflix and all that, because not only is he making the movie, but he also said in an interview that, and I quote, "The one thing that I'm having a really good time with, and I don't really know if I'm supposed to talk about it, is this RPG that we're doing that is just literally insane and so immersive and so intense and so huge. Uh, there's more coming, but all I'll say is that it was pitched to me because I always wanted to do an RPG. Like, well, we could do it at this scale or we could do it at a ridiculous scale." Uh, he elaborated further, revealing that the pitched idea for the game that he pitched the idea for the game himself to as an of yet unnamed developer, and hinting that the project is still relatively early in development. So it looks like they got big plans for the Rebel Moon stuff. The movie is supposed to be coming out this December on Netflix, and they already got all kinds of stuff planned for the future of this franchise that they're planning on building over there, which, you know, could be cool. Could be interesting. I think the way he describes it as a ridiculous scale RPG. Um, I don't. What do you make of that, Josh?
I have no idea actually. It just sounds like a buzzword and hype, and I like Snyder, don't get me wrong, but he feels like he's doing that. He does that with a lot of things. It's like, what do you consider a ridiculous scale? Like, like, I just look, I like Zack Snyder. I do. I like some of the stuff he does. I think some of it's good. I think some of it's bad. But for the most part, I like him. But it's like, it just feels very buzzwordy and like it's just building hype, right? And it's like, man, I don't even know who your developer is. Ridiculous scale. Like, what does that even mean? Like, you don't compare it to anything else. You just say a ridiculous scale. Okay. Is it supposed to be similar to, like, I don't know, a Skyrim? Is that what you mean by ridiculous scale? Is it supposed to be? It's supposed to be something similar to like a Starfield. That game's not even out yet. Is that what you mean by ridiculous scale? I'm gonna take this the way I think probably the majority of us should take it, which is with a grain of salt until you see more or hear more about it. Because it just hits me kind of like that. Respect due to the person that makes movies and is really excited about them, and I get it, wants to hype everything up. I'm gonna take this one for a grain of salt, though.
Fair enough. That makes sense. Because, yeah, I mean, like you said, we don't really know anything about it other than, oh, hey, we're expanding this universe that we're making with this movie. And I'll make it into a big ass game because I always wanted to make a RPG. So, not really a lot to go off of, but
No.
we'll see.
And the movie's not even out yet. I am interested in the movie. Like, I want to check it out, but it might be a big steaming pile. You never really know. Sometimes it's a gamble.
For those of you who aren't aware, Rebel Moon is the idea that Zack Snyder had for his Star Wars movie that he wanted to pitch to Lucasfilm like back in the day. So, obviously couldn't make that happen. So now he just turned it into his own original sci-fi dealio. And we'll see how it is, man. So far from what I've seen, it's intriguing and interesting enough. I like the cast of the movie. So we'll see how it does, right? Check it out. I'm definitely highly interested in it though. And much like you, I like Zack Snyder too. My problem with him is that a lot of his movies are super long. Like, I like his stuff, but I don't know why he feels the need to make movies that are like over 2.5 hours long.
I don't know.
But yeah. Anyway, I'm excited for Rebel. I'm looking forward to Rebel Moon. I wouldn't say I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm definitely interested in it.
Yeah, definitely have some pretty good interest in it. But I'll do it for our video game news for this week. Got some pretty interesting things coming, and yeah, I'm just excited for Star Wars Jedi Survivor, man.
Yeah, for me that's the big piece
Been waiting
of
on
this week's news. Is like, here's a trailer. It's not long. Like, to go back to it for just a second, it's not a super long trailer. It doesn't give away a lot. I think I think what it says is that they were obviously holding those characters out of the trailers until that book came out to kind of build up to it, and then they put them in this trailer. Um, in that trailer. So that's my big thing for this week is like that trailer is kind of like the thing that got me excited the most, and it dropped today of all places. And make sure to go check out DT's reaction. Make sure to go check out my reaction to it. Leave comments and all that stuff on our channels. We very much appreciate it.
Yes, yes, yes. Let us know what you think too in more detail,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm curious what you guys think for sure.
For sure.
Yeah, we can move on to TV news if you're good to go. My
I'm
friend.
good. Let's hit it, my mans.
Alrighty then. So here we go. TV news. So we have the Game of Thrones director, um, Jeremy Podeswa. I believe as that how you say his name. I could be wrong, but I think that's how you say it. Anyway, Jeremy Podeswa, Game of Thrones director, is going to be signing on to the Amazon Prime Video's Blade Runner 2099 show. We previously mentioned that this show was going to be a thing, and yeah, they now have a director attached to the project. He also is best known for HBO's Boardwalk Empire, The Pacific, and Apple's The Mosquito Coast. So he's done a lot of HBO stuff, um, which a lot of that stuff is, I mean, pretty like high, not really high caliber, but you know what I mean. It's more like it's up there, you know.
Hmm.
It's like Game of Thrones and the Boardwalk Empire, The Pacific. All those were pretty good. I mean, say what you want about Game of Thrones, but at one point or another, it was good,
Yeah.
And I
I
haven't
was
really seen
on.
too much of Boardwalk Empire, but I've heard good things about it.
I liked the first couple seasons of Boardwalk Empire, and then kind of like the Game of Thrones thing kind of went down for me personally. After a little while, kind of goes downhill a little bit. Um,
Um,
but yeah, we'll see. I'm excited for this. I like the Blade Runner world. I have the Blade Runner RPG book. We'll be playing that sometime in the future. Trust me, it is gonna happen because I want to. So I think this is pretty exciting actually to be. It's also like Amazon's like, let's make all the TV series for all these major things.
right? We got
Going
Lord of the
from, like-
Rings, we got Blade Runner, we're doing fucking this and that. On top of that, on top of the fact
Mhm.
that they already have The Boys and The Invincible and all this other cool shit that they already have out.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw out Jack Reacher too because I enjoyed that show. That show is good.
I haven't seen it, but I have heard good things, especially from you. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we'll see how this goes. I like the Blade Runner universe as well. I'm not like super, I'm not like I won't say I'm a super fan or anything, but like I think I enjoyed the first movie. Second movie was alright. So yeah, I haven't seen the anime yet, but I haven't heard too much about that to be honest with you. But I'll still check it out. Why not? And then this obviously we will be watching. So yeah, we'll be keeping an eye on this as well. Um, moving on, we have some more Penguin news. More news from the Penguin. HBO series is cast Theo Rossi in the Batman series. Remember last week or a couple weeks ago we talked about Clancy Brown joining the cast.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have Theo Rossi, who you guys may remember from various things.
Sons of
Uh,
Anarchy. That's what I know him from.
yeah,
Plays
but
Juice.
the 8-episode drama show continuing the Batman crime saga created by Matt Reeves now has a new character or a new actor in the show. The character details have not been revealed, but he is joining the series, and I think they're doing a pretty good job at like casting all these people that look like they fit in with with the universe. I think so far, Clancy Brown, this guy, like it's I I I was not like I wouldn't say I'm like super hyped for this show, but I like the fact that first of all you have Colin Farrell who's like wants to do this,
Mm-hmm.
and then like I like the Batman movie, so I like this universe of the Batman that we're gonna be exploring more of. So for those two reasons, I'm super on board with this. And like I said, the cast is that they've been adding onto it, like every other week, it feels like we're getting all this name and that name. And it's like I'm digging it, man. I'm digging it for sure. So I think they're doing a pretty good job at building up the show. I know I think they already started filming it as well. So yeah, I'll be checking that out whenever it releases, which I would imagine maybe sometime next year. We'll see. But anyway, cool. I always think it's a good thing whenever you add talent to your show, and I think no, it's a good thing. It's a good thing to add somebody like this to your show.
Yeah. He's also gonna be like, I have been in a Marvel thing and I have been in a DC thing
And
because
now
he
a
was
DC
in Luke
thing, yeah.
Cage. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Mhm. So the next thing we have here is very conflicting because we got
Yeah.
two different things about it. Um, but what I mean by that is there was talk of the Willow series being canceled after one season on Disney Plus, but then there was clarification that um John Kasdan uh tried to, state that it's more of a he said it's more of a pause as opposed to a cancellation. But he put out a tweet, so I'm gonna go ahead and read it out. But to be honest with you, there's a chain of tweets that he put out. Um, but the first one says, "Dear Willow supporters and vocal opposition, writing to you today, one preposterously, criminally, and immeasurably lucky fool. The outpouring of kind words, support, and passion for our shabby, idiosyncratic little show has been nothing short of mind blowing and profoundly moving. Not just for me, for everyone who worked their butts off on it. We're all inexpressibly grateful and thrilled that you enjoy watching it almost as much as we enjoy making it. Even those of you who didn't enjoy it, yet stuck with it for 8 hours to critique each episode and let us know exactly which choices you weren't a fan of. That too is its own incredibly specific form of flattery, and we appreciate it." He mentioned the Deadline article about the headline, and he said that yeah, there's more of it hasn't been canceled, but uh the decision was made last week to release the main cast for other series opportunities that may arise for them in the coming year. With all the TV and movies in production around the world, it seems unfair to limit an actor's availability without a clear sense of when you're going to need them again. It's further trivialized by the simple reality that the scripts we've been working on require just as many actors from our first season, with whom no such contractual hold exists. Nothing prevented Annabelle Davis, for example, from taking on another show, but you better believe Mims appears in every single Volume 2 chapter. If you're asking what this means for a viewer or me as a creator, here's what I think it means. Due to forces much larger and much more intricate than I would ever fully pretend to understand, production of streaming shows is slowing down across the entire industry. Willow won't resume filming in the next 12 months. But here's what's equally true. With the enthusiastic and unwavering support of Lucasfilm and Disney, we've developed and written what we hope is a brain-meltingly fun, richer, darker, and better Volume 2, which built in the characters and story of our first 8 chapters. So he basically put out a few more tweets in a chain of tweets, one after the other. If you guys want to go check that out, you can go check that out. But basically, the gist of it is it's not canceled. They're just kind of putting it on hold. And another reason why this makes sense is because there's supposed to be like a writer strike coming up, right? Like a
I
lot
have
of
no
shows
idea.
are there's supposed to be another writer strike coming like pretty soon. So there's a lot of shows or and whatnot that are like trying to. There are some that are trying to film like you know as quickly as they can before that happens because once that happens, obviously it's not gonna get much done at that point. So I have heard about that. And it also makes sense that you don't want to just tell people not to go look for other work when they can go look for other work if they're not gonna, have everything up in time for that.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, it just makes sense.
I'm not trying to be a shit when I say this, but this exact same thing is what happened with Mindhunter, and then that ended up getting canceled, which is kind of a bummer.
Mhm.
You know, they let the cast go, but they're like, it's not canceled, and then like a year later, it was like, turns out it is. You know, like.
I mean, that very well could happen with this show as well.
Mm,
And like, I don't know. I think the movie's better than the show. The show was just kind of it didn't really hit as like the way it probably could have or should have, but I don't know. I think the audience you're like trying to get to for a Willow show is kind of really small too anyway.
mm,
Because I mean, how many people have seen the movie or remember the movie or that have wanted to watch the show, and then there's people that did like the movie that did not watch the show and have not seen it at all yet. Still, so it's like,
that's
well,
me.
you know, if you have people that enjoyed the movie and that still haven't seen the show, you're kind of I don't know. I think you're kind of in trouble there with that one. But I watched it. I watched it all. It was like I said, it wasn't the best. It wasn't. I wouldn't say it was awful, but there was certain aspects where I'm like, oh, they could have done better with that. And then like I have other little minor complaints like music choices and like where to place the music stuff like that. But I don't know. I don't know, man. I think it's kind of a shame for this guy because like he also worked on like the Solo movie, and I really enjoyed that. And I still hope we get some kind of continuation with that stuff because I would love to see whether it be in the Disney Plus show or whatever. I would love to see that kind of continue. But uh yeah, I don't know, man. If it happens, then cool. But if not, then I'm not gonna be surprised either way if it doesn't continue. But yeah.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of clarification on that, I suppose, because there's kind of a little bit of conflicting reports on that one. Um, but anyway, the last piece of TV news I got here is some casting news for the Lord of the Rings: The Rings of Power season 2. Uh, they've added Kieran Hines, Rory Kinnear, and Tanya Moody to the cast of the show, which I think these are all pretty good names to add to your show. I mean, obviously we recognize, Kieran from like, Rome and Game of Thrones and Rory from shit like, the more recent James Bond movies and stuff. So, yeah, pretty cool. I think Kieran definitely has the look of like being in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Like he's got like the fantasy show kind of or
He's got that
fantasy
presence about him. Yeah, that kind of
yeah.
presence.
So yeah, he definitely fits in this. I'm very curious to see what they end up doing with them and all that and yeah, especially now that like they're moving the production to the UK, whereas before it was like in New Zealand or Australia or whatever. So see how it goes, man. See how it goes. I like season 1, but I didn't love it,
Mm-hmm.
which I kind of I was hoping to love it because I love Lord of the Rings, but we'll see. I always hope for these things to succeed because I don't want them to do bad, especially for things that
Yeah.
you like and enjoy. So I want them to just do better, all the time.
That's facts, dude. Like, I'll say this, and we've said it on the show before. I'll say it again. I don't want things to be bad. You think I want to waste my times on things that are bad? Hell no! I want to enjoy the things I spend my time with because I want to enjoy that Lord of the Rings thing, and I loved it. I definitely don't want it to suck at all. I don't think it did. I just thought it was okay. It did, but it didn't blow my socks off. Same as DT. But like,
Yeah.
none of us on this show or any of our friends ever want any of the things that we spend our time watching, playing, and just enjoying in general to be bad, because that's just kind of like a waste of our time, right? Like,
Yeah.
so I think that's. I just wanted to say that again. Like remind everybody out there. Like, don't root for things to be bad. Root for things to be good, because you don't want to waste your time on bad things. You want to enjoy your time on good things, right?
Straight up, man. But with that, that'll do it for our TV news. So if you're ready for some movie to finish off our news for the week, let's head
Let's
on
do
over
it.
to it.
Let me swap the screens here. There we go. All right, what do we got first?
First up, we have news that Quentin Tarantino's final film is getting ready. And it's going to be called, at least for right now, The Movie Critic. He's written a script that he's planning on directing this fall. They've been saying for a long time that he's got one more movie left in him. Because he always had he's always said that he only wanted to do like 10 movies or whatever. But The Movie Critic is the name of the script that Tarantino wrote and is prepping to direct this fall. They described the story as it being set in 1970s LA with a female lead at its center. It's possible that the story focuses on Pauline Kael, one of the most influential critics of all time. Kael, who died in 2001, was not just a critic, but also an essayist and novelist. She was known for her pugnacious fights with editors as well as filmmakers. In the late 70s, Kael had a very brief tenure working as a consultant for Paramount, a position she accepted at the behest of actor Warren Beatty. The timing of that Paramount job seems to coincide with the setting of the script, and the filmmaker is known to have a deep respect for Kael, making the odds of her being the subject of the film more likely. The studio does not the project does not have a studio home, but it could go out to studios or buyers as early as this week. One frontrunner could be Sony, where Tarantino has a tight relationship with Tom Rothman. Sony also distributed Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, his last film. But yeah, we'll see. He has been saying for the longest time, like I said, that he wants to direct 10 films. We'll see if he actually sticks to it and stays true to his word. Because like I like Tarantino movies. I don't love them like I don't like nut my pants over some people over like Pulp Fiction and stuff like that. I think it's a fine movie, like it's a decent movie, but I don't like think it's the best thing ever made or anything like that. So I like his stuff. Like my favorite movie of his is probably Django, and then like Inglourious Bastards and so on. But yeah, so I like his stuff, but I don't like super love his stuff like other people do.
Yeah.
I don't think he's a bit of a weird guy.
Yeah.
I think he has cool, like good movies and whatnot. He makes good movies, and he's one of those directors that people obviously want to see. Every time one of his movies comes out, he's one of those guys, right? Like Christopher Nolan, him. Like there's a few of those directors that people would just like if they're doing something they're all over it. But I'm curious if he's actually like gonna stay true to his word and be like, I only want to do 10 films. This is gonna be my last one, or like, cause like, what is he gonna do after? Is he really gonna be satisfied with just not doing movies anymore? What put the idea through his mind that he's like 10 is the number and that's it? Like, I don't know.
For me,
Seems a bit weird, but anyway.
for me, Tarantino is like hit or miss. Like, there's movies that I like that he has done. Like, I like Pulp Fiction. I like Django. And then there's movies that I despise that he's made. So,
Interesting.
like, and they vary. Like, so I really like Pulp Fiction. Obviously, kind of like you. I don't like lose my mind over it, but I think it's a good film. I haven't seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, so I need to see that.
I like
Uh,
that one.
I like Inglorious Bastards. I like Reservoir Dogs. Reservoir Dogs might be my favorite movie of his. But then there's also like The Hateful Eight, which I didn't like. I don't like The Hateful Eight really. Um, uh, yeah, and then there's some I haven't seen from him. Right, like I haven't seen like. I've never really sat down and watched the Kill Bill movies. I've never seen Jackie Brown. I know like that's a pretty uh I know some people like that film, so there's some I haven't
Yeah.
seen, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I gotcha. That's fair.
He's hit or miss for me.
Fair enough.
All right.
Fair
What's
enough.
next, DT?
All right.
If we're done with it.
Moving on. We have news that James Gunn is going to be officially directing Superman Legacy. So he put out in a tweet, "Yes, I'm directing Superman Legacy to release on July 11th, 2025. My brother Matt told me that when he saw the release date, he started to cry. I asked him why. He said, 'Dude, it's Dad's birthday. I hadn't realized.' I lost my he's and then he just goes on about like how he lost his dad and 3 years ago and he was his friend, he was his best friend and uh just his history with Superman and comics and all that stuff. So that is yeah, it's pretty cool. But he basically says that um he was offered Superman years ago, but he initially said no because he didn't have the way. He didn't have a way and that felt unique and fun and emotional that gave Superman the dignity he deserved. But a bit less than a year ago, I saw my way in, many centering around Superman's heritage, how both his aristocratic Kryptonian parents and Kansas farmer parents inform who he is and choices he makes. So he chose to write the script. He was hesitant to direct, uh, but he, loves the script so much, and he's just excited to, get started on it. So we'll see how it goes. I'm trying to think of like the other things he's done, like comic book movie wise. Like obviously he's done Guardians.
Mhm.
Obviously he did uh Suicide Squad for DC, and he's had some to do with uh Peacemaker. Jeez, it took me a little bit to remember that, but yeah, I'm actually really I'm curious what his version of Superman is gonna be. Um, I I ended up watching the movie that he kind of based, um, I guess his, or at least the image or the that he's kind of going for, and I didn't really love that too much. But I mean, it's gonna be more of a. It isn't gonna be the exact same thing. So I hoping that you know it's something different than that. But we'll see.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how that's how that'll go, but as we was mentioned earlier, I can only hope for the best, right?
Yeah. All right.
We have some Gladiator news, some Gladiator casting news here, and we got two actors in talks to join the sequel. So first off, we have Barry Keoghan, who you guys may recognize as being in the Eternals, and he was also in the Batman, and plenty of other things. But he's in talks to join the sequel to the 2000 historical epic that starred Russell Crowe as Maximus. Movie that won Best Picture as well. The sequel will be starring Paul Mescal. He'll be playing Lucius, the son of Lucilla, and the nephew of Commodus. If the Keegan deal makes it through, he'll be playing a character named Emperor Geta, who was an actual Roman emperor. Although the story sequel is not based on true events, but he will be playing the actual, character
Hmm.
or the person rather. And then the other person that is in talks to join is Denzel Washington. He is in negotiations to reteam with Ridley Scott on the Gladiator sequel. They previously worked together on the 2007 movie American Gangster. This one I think would be pretty interesting. Like, imagine fucking Denzel Washington and fucking Gladiator. Like, that'd be nuts, dude.
I like Denzel, so I like him being in the movie. I just like Denzel.
So yeah, so far, I mean, if they get these guys into the cast, I think this cast is gonna have a pretty solid start, man. Because I hadn't seen anything Paul Mescal was in, but I watched After Sun finally, and he was really good in that. So I think that him as the main dude is gonna be I think it's a good choice. So I need to watch him more stuff, but I haven't seen him in that. I'm like, okay, it's not bad. But yeah, we'll definitely be keeping an eye on more news with that. I like Denzel as well. I think he'll be an incredible addition to this. If they can get him. But we got one last thing here for the movie news, which is Chad Stileski talking about the Ghost of Tsushima film, and he says that interest in the movie has increased following The Last of Us. So, in a recent interview, he said that interest in the Ghost of Tsushima film is growing thanks to the massive success and quality of the HBO series. So he says, I hope so. The Last of Us shines a further light on the upcoming video game adaptations. Rainbow Six, Ghost of Tsushima, I'm working on. Both are fantastic projects that I really hope come to fruition. But Ghost, it's got an amazing story. It's the anti-samurai movie. It's got great thematics. We have a lot of the push on that and a lot of interest because The Last of Us pushing that. Yes, the curse of the video game, the movie is kind of lifted. It can be done. You just got to give it love and attention. And Ghost of probably all the other video game movies in development, I think that's the one that's going to land. So I think that's there's a video that they have it's like a 15, well, probably longer than that, but they interviewed him about John Wick Chapter 4 and they asked him about the movie, which, hey man, that's exciting. I as I was playing Ghost of Tsushima, I'm like, this could be a fucking movie. It's so good, So I hope they do it well. I hope they treat it right. And man, if they do it as well as they did the Last of Us, then that movie's gonna be phenomenal. So I can't wait. I'm very excited.
Yeah, I love Ghost of Tsushima a lot. All right, I guess that's all the news. ADT, is that everything?
That is our news for the week, man. Unless you got anything else to throw in here before we end our news for this week.
No, guys, that's gonna do it for the news. We are gonna take a quick break. I need to go potty, and then we'll be right back with the authority in the second half of the show. We talk about the comics that we read this past week. That'll be a fun, interesting discussion. I'm curious to DT's thoughts, and I want to give you guys some of my own thoughts on that as well. So we'll be right back after this. Don't go anywhere. I'll put some music on for you guys, run some ads just for the break, and then we'll be right back. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Clockwork Cantina. Hope you enjoyed your little breaks there. I know I had to have a little quick restroom break, but we're back now. All right, guys, we're gonna move into our main topic here, which is DT and I have gotten into the last little bit. I don't want to say it's new because we've done it a couple times now. Where we read some comics every little while, which I think is something we're gonna try to do even more of in the future.
Yeah, it's something I've been wanting to do for a long time. I want to definitely do more of that in the future. I enjoy reading comics, so we got a lot of ones we could do as well. So
what's nice about it is I know DT and I really don't have time for novels as much, but we do have time for comics because comics are not nearly as long as a fucking long ass book. So so it's cool that we get to kind of get the best of both worlds a little bit. We get to do some reading. We get to it has to do with our interests, right? And it could be future movies and things and TV shows and all that kind of stuff. To get to hop in and do some of it. And we did something that we hadn't done before, which is The Authority. And we split it in half. Originally, we were going to read all of them, and then we were like, that's a lot.
That's a lot, yeah.
We split it in half.
And to be honest with you, the place where we cut it off, perfect way to cut it.
When I got to the last issue, last page of that issue, I was like, "Oh, this is perfect. This worked out perfectly."
It's a perfect end stopping point to end it on. Because we were like she was saying, we're originally gonna do all 29, but that's a lot of comics to read. So doing the first 12 here at this point, perfect stopping point, worked out super well. We'll do a part 2 eventually down the line, but yeah, these first 12 issues we're gonna go ahead and talk about.
Yeah. So
go ahead, Josh.
I just wanted to do the thing we always do, which is, did you like what you read? Like, were there parts of it you didn't like? Because every 4 issues is an arc, right? So I can say for me, a little spoilers for you guys, I hated the first 4 issues of this comic. I actually was like, how am I going to get through this? Am I going to hate this the whole time? But I'm really glad I kept going with it because it changed in issue 5 on how I felt about it. So how did you feel, DT? That was just, I'll go in depth on that as we continue the discussion about what I didn't like about those first 4 issues. But how about you?
So yeah, the first 12 issues of The Authority were divided into 3 4-issue story arcs. We have The Circle, Shift Shapes, and Outer Dark. And that was a run, the Ellis and Hitch run, right? The first 12 issues. So unlike you, I was kind of on board from the start. So I'm curious to kind of hear your thoughts on why you hated the first arc, because I going into it, I didn't realize that we're gonna be jumping into arcs like this. I was like, oh, cool, we were doing this thing and then this thing, and I was kind of on board with from the start, though. Like I said, because the thing that kind of threw me off though was all the comic booky jargon that they have in this at times, where it's like, here's this thing you've never heard of, and they're traveling at the fucking sound wave speed of fucking 3
I'll be honest with you, that's one of the things I hated in those first 4 issues. Is I hated a lot of that.
They do an awful lot of that in this. But yeah, it's like, so anyway, this is after the Stormwatch stuff, because the Authority is a team that was created after Stormwatch is ended, and Jenny Sparks is the kind of leader that guy that leads us through these 12 issues here. But what were you gonna say, Josh? You were saying something?
No. You can continue. You can continue on. My discussion could come later. Sorry.
So we have the team. We have the team here that consists of Apollo, the Sun King, or Apollo, who is the Sun King, the Midnighter, who is the Night's Bringer of War, the Engineer, who is the Maker, the Doctor, known as the Shaman, Jack Hawksmoor, who is the God of the Cities, Swift, the Winged Huntress, and Jenny Sparks, the Spirit of the 20th Century. So that is our roster here. Those are our main characters that we followed through these, several arcs. And for me, the thing was when I first started reading this was, I gotta get used to new characters. I gotta learn the names. Then we have like side characters like Jackson King and Christine Trelane that you gotta learn, and I was thrown off too because at the beginning they mentioned New York City. I'm like, that's usually a Marvel thing when they talk about the real life cities. But originally this wasn't like DC.
Yeah.
It was like Wildstorm, So that makes sense why they're like mentioning real life cities and all this stuff as opposed to like, DC proper where they're like, here's, Central City and Metropolis and Gotham and all this other shit, But yeah, I'm really curious to hear you speak on why you didn't like that first arc.
Okay.
Yeah, go for it, man.
So if we want to talk about this, we'll get into it in a minute. I'll say on the first arc is I feel like it tries really hard. It tries super hard and it leans in hard on comic book corny. Like it felt so cheesy and corny. I messaged Majin. And Majin is our comic book guy and just our general friend and plays video games, streams, all that stuff. Make sure you check him out, Majin. I'm like, I feel like this is just the dumbest comic book panel I've ever seen, and I sent him a photo of it, and it's of the Kaizen Gamora guy. He's just throwing his head back and laughing, and I'm like, this is so fucking corny. I don't know if I'm gonna get through this. And he's like, yeah, this is peak corny. So like, it was just so, oh my goodness, it just felt so. I don't know. I was like, I don't know. I'm gonna have to message Daniel, and I'm gonna be like, I don't know if I can finish this if this is the whole comic books because it is killing me just reading some of it. And I don't know why it's that first 4 issues are like that for me. It definitely changes in episode 5, but like, I posted another one where he's like, one of the characters is like, where do you come from? And one of the dialogues, I don't know how I'm gonna read this on stream and just not lose my fucking mind at it. He says, where did you come from? And he says, Daddy did a bad thing with Mommy and 9 months later. I'm like, who the fuck writes that? It's so bad.
I wrote that in my notes too because I was dying when I read that shit. I was like, we gotta mention that. That shit was hilarious.
I was like, oh no. I was like, it's 24 issues of this? Oh, and it feels very, I think this was before The Boys, but it made me think of The Boys, the show, because I've never read the Boys comic, but it kind of felt kind of like that, and I was like, man, I don't know, that those first 4 issues for me were just very corny, very I didn't like a lot of the dialogue. It's just super. They're throwing all these gigantic words. We're surfing the bleed in the fucking parallel worlds, but we're also in this world, and it's just like it just throws a lot at you, and it feels very trying really hard to sell me on these first 4 issues, and I think it tries so hard that it almost misses. That changes in issue 5. I feel like they kind of lay off of it. It's not nearly as corny as those first 4, and I got back on board and actually start to like it. But man, I don't know what it was like. That really just, I just did not like those first 4 issues. That it was just super corny. I wasn't a big fan of the writing. The main villain feels like a a stereotype that is not like good at all, and I'm just like, man, I. So I was like, are there 24 issues with this guy as the villain? Because my God, if there are, I don't know how I'm gonna make it. So I'm kind of glad that the arc kind of ends. Also, DT, I think your camera is frozen for me. I don't know what
weird.
happened. But yeah, it was a little rough for me. Obviously, I do like there being new characters. But I think that also is like the biggest reason I gave it a chance is because it's like I need to give them time to grow on me. I don't really know them, where they're coming from. I don't know, I don't know nothing about them at all. So I was like, I wish this comic kind of tells me who they are and kind of what they do, and it does at times kind of do that. But they do it in like such a not a clumsy way. It's like, I am the engineer. I have a bunch of nanomachines in my blood. Like 90% of my blood is replaced with these robot things, and I'm like, man, I feel like there's a more subtle way to explain it to me than that. But those first 4 issues were really rough. I do have a favorite character, and I'm gonna save that for later on in the discussion.
Okay.
Because I'm kind of curious to if you have one too, but I don't want to talk about that quite yet. But what about you, DT? What really like appealed to you? Where I had issues with the first 4, what was it about those first 4 that kind of grabbed you more? Like,
So for me, like I agree with you on the dialogue. There's like the carrier moved to the Devaconic realm at the speed of 25 dreams per second. You're like, oh,
yeah,
you're like, God damn, what the fuck? I'm like, what the shit is going on here? I think so. For me, what I did like was the fact that like it was all uncharted new territory. It's
yes,
like all of this is new. I'm not familiar with damn near any of this.
Mm-mm.
I recognized Kaizen Gamora because he was in Young Justice, I believe. So I remember that. And he was a little bit of a cornball villain, but like, or at least in these comics, but like, I don't know. I was just like, well, we'll give him a chance. We'll see how this goes. He seems very like, he says some shit. I'm trying to remember which issue it is. Uh, he's like, so he's on like on a call with the UN negotiation team or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, he's like basically explaining his madness because he can. He's like, because I am a wolf in wolf in a world of sheep. Because terror is the blood of life and its guiding principle. I have no politics to expose through my terror. No ideals to force through. Terror is its own reward. He's like very like, he's a very like bad guy to be a bad guy,
Mm-hmm.
And then also I really learned like it was cool like them talking about the carrier and be like, oh, it's alive, it's a living thing,
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty cool. And then just like getting to know the team, right? Because like like jumping into it, you don't know anything about it. So like, I don't know who the leader is, obviously Apollo is supposed to be Superman and the Midnighter is supposed to be Batman. And I kind of caught early on, I don't know if you caught this, but I kind of caught early on that they were kind of, a thing.
Yeah, a couple
Because
lovers, whatever you want to say.
yeah. Because there's that one point where like Midnighter checks up on him, like, and you're like, oh wait, you don't just do that for anybody.
Yeah.
But yeah. So it's just funny how those two are supposed to basically be like Batman and Superman, and like it's pretty clear that's what they're supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
But some of the other characters are interesting too. Like I like Swift; she seems cool. Jenny, I wasn't sure how to feel about her at first, but I think by the time we were done with the 12 issues, I'm like, all right, hell yeah, Jenny,
Yeah.
pretty cool. The engineer, Angie, she was pretty interesting to find out. Like you said, we didn't really get to know like too much about their backstories or anything like that. maybe we'll get to learn more of that in the second half of the next 12 issues or whatever. But uh the trippy shit with the doctor, man, that stuff is pretty nuts.
Uh,
Uh
so I'll just go ahead and tell you guys now. The Doctor is my favorite character. Like,
okay.
Especially at the end of issue 12, those last four are kind of like very. He takes a bigger role, I guess, kind of a little bit. Yeah, I mean, he's pretty prevalent in all the issues, but I was like, I find this character fascinating because he's got the Doctor, the Shaman. Well, he kind of has two names. But he's got like all these previous like doctors and beings kind of like inside him. It's not really, obviously it's not super explained because it's characters are kind of established. But I find the idea of that kind of character really cool. It's like he has all this knowledge that he can pull from previous lifetimes. And like just his power, he seems like a very strong power set. It's like he just unleashes this big barrage of magic, and it just changes things around him. It's like I think there's a point where he turns something into like a flock of bugs or something similar to that in one of the earlier issues. So he's kind of like, I was like, I want to know more about this character. This character seems, kind of fascinating. And then by the end of issue 12, I was like, all right, I think this is like my favorite out of all of these characters. I do like Jenny Sparks quite a bit. I find all the characters interesting. In their own ways. But yeah, how about you, JT? Do you have a favorite? Do you have one that stands out, like
a favorite
absolute
character?
favorite? Like one above others?
I don't know if I do. I think I liked every, like I liked the like seeing some of the stuff that like Apollo and the Midnighter and Jack would do, kind of some of the cool stuff they were doing. But I don't know if I have like a favorite character. I
got you.
I think I just like seeing them as a unit together. I don't know if I had like a specific particular favorite.
Do you like anybody's power set more than any of the others? Like
I think Jack has a really cool power set. Like him being able to be like just like when he fucking kills the Albion dude. In issue, I forget which one it is. It's in the second arc. But like
he's under the city and like pops up, just fucking punches right through it.
So Jack and the Midnighter are fighting Regis, who's like the main bad guy of the second arc. And like Apollo's trying to hold off, trying to defend Europe while, all they're being under attack by the Albion, which, dude, the whole concept of the Albion was kind of wild. They're like a all parallel universe Britain.
I found that very interesting. Yeah.
But like they're also like aliens, like
fucking dark too.
Yeah,
that second arc is.
Yeah, oh yeah, dude. I was reading some of this, like, damn.
It's like, didn't this guy have children? I'm hungry. I'm like, what the fuck? He's gonna eat this dude's kids. That's terrible.
Like, him, I mean, the way Jenny described what he wanted to do too, I was like, geez.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Jack, when and him and the Midnighter are engaged in Regis and they're fighting. And like Regis just talks mad shit against both Jack and the Midnighter as he's beating the shit out of him. And then Jack is like, you know what? We're all sick of you. And he fucking like bursts from under the city and like splits him in half and shit. I was like, God damn. His power set's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it was like there was like no fight. I mean, there's a fight. Obviously, he's fighting the Midnighter, right? So that's kind of the fight. But Jack's like, I'll just fucking kill you. That's what happens.
Yeah, that's the thing with these guys. They're like heroes, but they they do things sometimes in a not so hero-y way. Like there's like collateral damage, I think, in is it that first arc or is it the Albion one?
I think it's in a couple of them.
Well, anyway,
I think they mentioned it in the first one for sure. because they're
There's
like,
definitely like yeah.
what's the word they use? Like, what's the collateral damage? Like, what's the numbers? Like, at some point, I think Jenny asks somebody,
Yeah.
or somebody asks somebody. So there's obviously like, and how could there not be? I mean, let's be real. Like, the things that are happening and the things that they're fighting are just so large that nobody could stop, from there being casualties or friendly forces taken out. Like, the authority deals with massive city-threatening threats.
Yeah, so when they're saving LA in the first arc, they managed to contain it, but they're like, "Oh, we saved, but they're like, "Hey, we saved more people than we killed, so do we, count that as a
That's
win
a win.
basically, right?"
Yeah.
Yeah. Um and then, they one of the things I found really cool that they can do is they can like transmit frequencies that like anyone can understand. Like
Yeah.
that I think is a really cool thing that they do. They're like, broadcasting on all frequencies so everyone can understand or
They
whatever.
translated like
Yeah.
to any language.
That I think is one of the cooler things that they can do. Just like through the carrier or whatever. But yeah. Uh I thought it was like kind of neat at the beginning of the second arc. I think it was like the 6th issue where you kind of see Jenny like through the years explaining the Albion. Like we see her like in the 1920s and then like the 50s and then we go back into
Mm-hmm.
the present time, which at the time was 1999. Also, hey Nicole, how you doing? What's up, Vixie?
Hi, Fixie.
Uh, yeah, it was which like jumping a little ahead a little bit. Did you see the whole Jenny thing coming? Because when they were like counting down the specific days and everything, and like even before the doctor found out, I kind of figured that was gonna be the case.
Yeah.
And the big giveaway of that is she's the spirit of the 20th century, right? And
Yes.
we're in 1999. This is about to end. So
Yep.
I kind of like I caught wind of that like
I definitely saw
pretty
that
soon
coming.
too.
I was like, it makes sense for a lot of reasons. Because when you first establish a group of heroes, right? They always have an established leader, and then they'll almost always be an upset to that at some point. And comics are monthly. It's over a long period of time. They definitely plant those seeds pretty early on that Jenny is not going to be around forever. So, especially because of like the spirit of the 20th century thing, like you said. So, it definitely is like, I think it does it in a way that if you're not paying super close attention, you don't notice it. You don't think about it until the later issues, obviously,
Yeah,
where
when
it's
the
made pretty blunt.
yeah,
That
when the
something's gonna
doctor
happen.
talks to her and she's like, "Shut up, man! Just help me make it through the day and get this done."
Mm-hmm. We gotta make it through the day. It's my birthday. We gotta get through this.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think they do that pretty well actually. I think that's some good writing. Like they reference it early enough that if you're paying attention, you can kind of put it together.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of cool little tidbits in here like, just they basically have no allegiance to any one country in particular, or any agency or anything like that. They're just like, we go around the world, we save everybody.
Mm-hmm.
They're in like Europe, like in fucking Berlin and Oslo and Finland and Iceland and like they're all over the LA, they're all UK, they're all over the damn place. Saving everybody. Um did you have like a favorite like well, I don't know if favorite is the right word, but like of all the like side characters, like all the secondary characters, anybody that stood out to you particularly, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Um,
Like maybe Jackson or Christine or fucking Lorenzo, fucking her Jenny's ex.
not really. Like they don't really
Ingvi.
like.
Yeah, they that's fair because they don't really get a whole lot of time to do anything.
Yeah, that's the
Right? There's not
thing,
a lot.
right? It's like not
There's
a
not a lot of time
lot.
for them to shine. It
Yeah.
definitely focuses on like more of the main characters, the authority, which the comics are called the authority, so it makes sense. But no, yeah, I was just wondering if maybe you had somebody that like stood out or was memorable in one way or the other. But no, that's fair.
No, no, nothing for me. How about you? Anybody, any of those that grab you?
Um, not particularly, but it was like interesting seeing Regis talk to Ingvi, and then like at the same time, like hearing the kind of backstory of like Jenny with Lorenzo and all that kind of stuff. So I guess the second arc, the one with the Albion, they had kind of more interesting kind of secondary characters out of any
Hmm.
of the other ones. So yeah, probably that. Um, so of the three like arcs, you would say the last one is probably your favorite one, or the one you like the most,
Um,
or the second one? Because
I
clearly
like
we, we
this.
we know you didn't like
Yeah,
the
you know
first
how I
one.
feel about the first one. Um, I think I like the second one a little more because I find the idea of Albion fascinating.
Okay.
The in-game plan of it is horrifying, but I find the whole layout of it interesting. The whole alternate
Yeah.
reality parallel universe type deal is interesting. But I like the Doctor in the last arc a lot.
Gotcha. Okay.
So there's definitely parts I like from both of those arcs, quite a bit. But the overall arc, I like the second arc the more.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. No, I thought it was interesting how they like introduced and like explained that whole second arc with the Albion. I do think Sliding Albion is a weird ass name to call him,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I've never made a comic book. I never done anything like that. So, uh, but I do think it was interesting how they did it because like they start off like I think the fifth issue, they're like, we're an Albion, and here's you know this like pompous ass British dude talking about you know they want to whatever the fuck like he's just being like he's being a jackass, and then uh Regis tells Ingvi Albion is his and they're going to war, and like his whole thing is like you know he wants to keep the blue alive, right? Like
Hmm.
he wants to ensure that his blue peoples are staying strong because like I think at one point talks to Ingvi and he's like we're kind of we're going strong, but like the blue is dying out or whatever, so he's trying to you know they're a dying civilization pretty much. The human births are up but the blue is dying, and Jenny kind of recognizes that I know exactly who these people are, and I know what they're doing. Like we're being invaded by an alternate Earth, and I think they did a good way of like kind of you know uh showing the progress of kind of where we were heading to in that arc. Because I was very like kind of confused and but in like intrigued at the same time at the beginning. I'm like, what's going on here with this? Um, and yeah, the way they explain it too, like on the carrier when Jenny's like, oh, they're humanoid aliens and European royalty, breeding in the 1500s, and you know by the earliest 20th century they got a fusion, kind of culture with the two in England, and they call it Sliding Albion, and they're an imperialist society, and you know all that kind of stuff, and they are like breaching through the bleed and trying to looking for new Earths to conquer or whatever, right?
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, that kind of stuff was interesting, and they like kept like revealing stuff after another, and that was they did good with that. Um, but yeah, man, that last arc though, I think was like in terms of like what we're fighting against, I thought was kind of like this is a weird enemy. It's like a big
We're fighting
like
God.
yeah, we're fighting a god, and it's like so massive and giant, and it's headed towards Earth, and it's shooting off little tentacle fucking monster things.
And I gotta be real, those things look like flying turds. Okay, like I was like, I'm like, what is the point? Who drew this? Like, Like, I was like, who thought this was a good design? Like, or did they do it on purpose? Like, I think even one of the characters mentions in dialogues that it looks like a giant floating fucking turd. I'm like, oh my god. I was like, this is. There are some things in this comic that just have me like, this is weird.
Yeah, there is a lot of weird shit in these comics, but overall, I think I like them more than I dislike them.
Yeah.
I don't really have too much to dislike. It's just like you
No,
were
the
saying
thing.
earlier, a lot of the comic book jargon that they use in here is kind of like off, like puts you off at some points, and like, well, shit, like what does that mean, you know? Or what the hell are they even trying to say here at this point? Um, uh, but no, yeah, it was cool seeing like Angie kind of like between her and the doc, like kind of calm down the carrier, and
Mhm.
like like Angie's like, oh, she just needed reassurance, like because the carrier doesn't want to leave behind,
Yeah.
from Earth's orbit or whatever, and
The
like,
the ship is kind of its own character. It just you never have dialogue with it.
yeah.
Like it has like thoughts and feelings, and it's just as much a member as anybody else. I
Also,
feel
dude, the fact that it's powered by a caged baby universe, I was like, what
that's pretty
the
cool.
fuck? That is insane. That is like nuts. That was nuts as hell. But yeah, it is cool. But damn, that was wild. Um, and as they're like flying through the veins of the god or whatever, as they say,
Yeah.
uh, it's cool of them like Jenny trying to figure out like uh you know did somebody give me a map of this thing? I want the organs and the hearts, the brains, or anything. And then fucking Swift, or Shen, she's like, uh takes a minute. He's like sensing everything. Oh, this thing's got like 4,000 hearts. She's like, okay, well,
Yeah.
Yankees, you're gonna have to figure something out. And I like that the Midnighter was the one to be like, yo, you think we're just gonna be able to come in here and not like, like what kind of weapons do we have? Because we're gonna be basically fighting antibodies, because we're trying to fight the immune system. We're like a virus inside this thing right now.
Mm-hmm.
And
I like how he's the one that thinks of it. It's like we're just gonna
yeah,
go inside this thing. I'm sure it'll be a breeze. Like, are you fucking nuts? That would not be how this is. You're gonna
exactly.
be antibodies.
I love how
I like.
like you said, he was the one that brought it up.
Uh-huh. I like how there's also like it has a parasitic infection, and maybe that's gonna attack us. You
Dude,
know?
when they got to the tapeworm city thing, I was like, oh man, that would be terrible.
Mm-hmm.
To have to like, you're like, all right, cool, we're in this thing and we're gonna try to kill it, and oh, look at that, there's fucking parasitic tapeworms all over the damn place, and they're flying towards us.
And then they communicate with him with the ship
Yeah,
thing.
with the frequency thing again,
Yeah.
right? Which again is so
I
fucking.
thought that was
Cool
pretty
they could
cool.
do.
I was like,
Yeah.
hey, I said, okay, maybe there's not antibodies. They're gonna have to fight these things, and then they send out the frequency thing, and then it was like, oh, they stopped attacking, and then it's like, oh, here come the antibodies. There are antibodies. We gotta fight
Yeah.
those.
And then
What a
like, the
wild
doctor-
comic.
Yeah, for real. And the doctor's like he's like, I could trace the neural electricity back to the brain. It's like it's like following airstrip lights, keep going towards the brain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was what a weird fucking comic series, man. But like there's some really cool stuff in it too, though.
Mm-hmm.
Like just seeing like the doctor or the shaman talk to like all the previous doctors or shamans or whatever the hell that was. All that trippiness was
That's pretty
wild.
cool.
And then like, obviously at this point we know that Jenny's, not done. She don't got a lot of time left. She's running out of time, man. But
Yeah.
she's like, it took me a long time to figure out what my purpose was, but I finally figured it out. It's to save the Earth. And I like that, like those panels where like her eyes light up and she's like, this world is mine. And she fries the fucking thing, and she dies in Jack's arms, being like, be seeing you and all that. Man, this is we end with the end of Jenny and we end with Jenny in the 20th century ending is how it is, and it's
Mhm.
pretty. I thought the ending was really cool and really well done. Um, but
That
yeah,
last
no,
page though.
I
That last page is pretty good. I was like, oh,
yeah,
this is.
yeah.
I was like, this is where we're gonna end. Oh, that's so good. I was like, that's so
Yeah, it
so
was.
interesting.
That's why when I finished reading, I was like, "Oh, what a perfect place! What a perfect stopping point!" Like those first 12 issues. What a great end to our part one here, man.
Mhm.
Um, I would say that at the end of this issue, I'm very curious to see where they go after this without Jenny. Um, like who's gonna step up and be the leader after this, right? Like,
Mm.
are we gonna have more people added to the team, or are they gonna stick with what they got? Like, I'm very curious about where we go from here. So I have to say that for me, I'm actually like, I'm looking forward to reading the rest of this run
Yeah,
and seeing where we go from here, man.
I'm
How you feeling
definitely.
about it after the first 12?
So after the first 12, obviously I was lukewarm on those first four, but after I gave it its chance and its due, I am interested in seeing the rest of the issues and the next where we go from here. Uh, if I had some complaints here, like there'd be small complaints, like maybe it's just because it's comics and they can't spend a lot of time in here. I feel like they win too easy sometimes. Like, but they are obviously very.
I can understand that.
They're very strong. Is
when
what
I was
what I
reading
mean.
this, I was like, oh, some of the stuff was a little too convenient, like,
Mm,
right? But yeah, I mean, they're like super strong beings, and we have you know f- 3 arcs that we got to get through, and you got to kind of wrap it up some way, and they're heroes, right? So they got to win somehow,
and I
even
don't
if it
think.
isn't like perfect, but they still got to make it out.
I also don't think the main point of the comic either is like them fighting and winning. It's not that type of comic. It's more like about them, and like them personally, how they're doing things and like how things are affecting them necessarily more than like here's this big villain that's gonna destroy the world. All right, it's comic books. That's gonna happen in every issue with characters as strong as the Authority. Everything that's gonna come along is gonna try to destroy the world because they're just that powerful. Like, how do you get any more powerful than that? So, um, and I'm curious to what the next 12 will hold. I'm curious if it's gonna be like, is this gonna be more galaxy or planet threatening bad guys, or is there going to be internal strife with the team? Are there going to be like other heroes that come along that they're going to clash with? Is it going to take on a more, not as much as this is a world threat as much as a personal threat to like each character, like dealing with more of like who they are as people and heroes more than like we're just here to fight the big bad guys all the time, like because I feel like it could easily go that way, especially with how collateral damage heavy they are at times and how much
Yeah.
that they are not a troubled team, but there's a lot of characters on the team and they all have their own backstories and their own issues. Like the doctor was a former drug addict and now he's the doctor, the shaman with all these people inside him, um so I'm kind of curious to who will go how that will go further as we go into more. I also want to see more of some of the other characters. Like I feel like we got a lot of Jack and the Midnighter and Apollo in this issue, and not as much in these issues, and not as much as like uh brain fart dying. Also we got a lot of the engineer. I feel like Swift. We didn't get a lot. I don't feel like we got a lot of Swift
Swift,
in
yeah,
these issues.
she kind of like stayed in the carrier and like, didn't really
Yeah.
do a whole lot.
So I would like to
Really.
see her kind of get a little bit more time to shine because I feel like she didn't get much really
Mm.
personally. Um Going forward, so maybe she'll get some more storylines.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I feel like, yeah. See, I'm looking at the members here. Just that I have a list up. I was like, well, it feels like most of these people got a moment to shine here, except for Swift. So I don't feel like Swift really got a whole lot. So kind of hope she gets more. But overall, yeah, wild comics. That I'm glad I gave it a chance. I'm glad I didn't stop after 4 issues. I'm glad I didn't go to Daniel and be like, listen, you read them all, and you can sit there and talk about them, and I'll just sit there and give input because I don't know if I can read all these or not after those first
And
4 issues.
you gotta read, even if you didn't like it, man. You gotta read through it, and you just need to
I
shit
don't
out
know.
afterwards, man.
I don't know if I could ever make it through it or not if it kept up like that, but I'm glad I gave it a chance. It's a little rough. Those first 4 for me. Maybe not for everybody, but for me, it was a little rough. I'd give it a recommendation to people. Check it out. And if you don't like those first 4 issues, it kind of turns around in issue 5. If you're like me, if you like those first 4 issues, you're probably gonna like the rest of it. Up to 12 because I haven't read past that. Yeah, I don't know what else to talk about. DT, do you have anything else? We didn't talk about the art really. The art doesn't really blow me away or anything. It's from the 90s, so from 1999. So it's a little not the best, but it's not terrible, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't stand out to me in any in like a bad way or you know
Mm-hmm.
really like in a good way. It was just like, all right, it looks it's fine, it works. I don't, you know.
It wasn't like the last comics we read where I was like, man, the art on this page is amazing. That's totally different. That's a totally different bag of heroes and makers of those comics. But yeah.
But yeah, I'm just I enjoyed the first 12 issues. I'm glad we finally got to meet these characters, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of know more about them. So now whenever they pop up in other things, I know who they are. I know their names, I know their power sets and abilities, and you know what they do, what they don't do. Uh, yeah. Um,
Because yeah, there's gonna be a film with these guys, right? Like,
yeah, that's kind of one of the reasons why
why we
the
got
main
into it.
reason why we wanted to check this out, because the Authority is going to be a part of James Gunn's new, DCU, and I'm like, well, we don't really know too much about these guys, so let's kind of, even though we're a few years away, why not kind of just check them out and see what they, what we're kind of getting ourselves into here. But yeah, I thought it was I wasn't expecting them to kind of split in between a few arcs, but I guess that makes sense. I mean, the comic books, so
Mm-hmm.
it makes sense. Um but yeah, overall I would say that I enjoyed them. I was on board from the beginning. I liked where we stopped here for the first 12. Very curious to see where we go after this with, if we're going to add anybody to the team or if we're going to keep the same team, or, you know, now that we're not in the 90s anymore, like how they're all going to, respond to the, 2000s and the new fucking, the new era that they're going to be in. Uh and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, all that's gonna be pretty interesting to cover and get through, and I'm kind of curious. One of the things that I'm curious about is when they kind of started incorporating these guys more into DC.
Yeah.
Like at what point does that happen? Because I haven't really looked into it or anything like that. But like I said earlier, this kind of version of them is still the Wildstorm kind of version, so it's not really, it ain't like super, it's not like DC, but didn't at one point, I think, didn't Kaizen say that he was like captured by Superman or something? Or am I wrong in that?
I think there's something
I don't know.
mentioned now that you say that. I think there's something that's
I
mentioned about it, right? I
yeah,
think.
I think I kind of remember Kaizen Gamora being like, "Oh, I was captured by Superman" or something like that, but I don't
Mm.
know. Anyway, So yeah, I'm kind of curious how when as to when they get more incorporated into DC stuff because I know Superman does have like kind of like stuff to do with them and uh in the future, but uh yeah, I'm just curious to get back to this whenever we do. I'm not sure when that'll be because we do have a couple other things we want to get to here within the next couple months and I know that for what is it, May? I want to do some Star Wars comics for Star Wars month.
Yeah.
But definitely do want to get to this here within I definitely at some point this year we'll get back to it and finish the other 12. Um but yeah, I don't know. I just overall I did like what I read. Curious to the future of these characters and where they go and how they connect to the wider, larger DC universe and in the following, uh I don't know, future or incarnations of these characters. I don't know if they're gonna do that here in this run at some point, probably not. But either way, it's still curious to kind of read the origins of these characters and kind of where they came from and what they um uh where they started and all that and also like I haven't mentioned this at all, but like I mentioned, well, I did just say not long ago that they were kind of had something to do with Superman. If you obviously if you've seen like or some of the elite stuff, the elites are basically like patterned off of the authority because Manchester Black is kind of like the Jenny Sparks of that, and like you can see the similarities between the two and how they patterned the elites after the authority, which is interesting because I think originally they made the authority to just be like not really the anti Justice League, but like just not you know
Mhm.
not like quite like the Justice League, but similar enough that you're like, oh, that's what they kind of tried to do with them. But they're like dudes that are like, they do have collateral damage and they do kind of do things their own way and all that. So
Mhm. Um, a thing I would like to do, which obviously I couldn't do, but if I had magic powers, and which DT and I do sometimes, but not to this caliber, um, is like I would like to just sit down and talk to James Gunn and just be like, what is it about the authority that appealed to you that and then make you want to put this in like kind of deep dive into it? Like, what is it about these comics that kind of grabs you about these? And obviously, probably not maybe in these first 12 issues. Maybe it's later on and further down the road that kind of grabbed him in it. But I would genuinely curious to like just to have like an interview with him just to be like, man, what is it about this that appealed to you that made you want to do this to be for it to be one of the things slated for the new vision of DC, Like I feel like that'd be a cool conversation to have.
as I was reading this and all the weird shit in it, I'm like, James Gunn loves weird shit. I can see why he likes this because
Mm-hmm.
this has a bunch of weird shit in it. He likes all that weird. I mean, look at Guardians and the Suicide Squad. He likes more of the like lesser known, like weirder kind of things, like
Yeah.
and this definitely has a lot of that. So I'm like, oh, I can see why he likes this fucking thing. Even in just those 12 issues, I can only imagine where we go in the next 12.
Yeah. All right. Um, I don't have any more to add to this discussion. I do not believe, DT. Do you have anything else that you want to bring up or chat about with the authority?
Um, I don't think so. I think we kind of skimmed over everything slightly. Yeah, I think we can call it there, man.
All right.
We pretty much went over it.
All right, gang, that's going to do it for the show, I believe. I appreciate all of you guys that came by as usual. We're going to go ahead and do our goodbye screens. DT, I'm going to throw her over to you. You're up.
All right, friends. Thank you guys for watching, for listening, for hanging out. We'll be back next week with a retro rewind. I think it's gonna be a movie that I've never seen or even heard of before. It was Josh's pick, I believe
It is.
this month. Okay, yeah. So that'll be, we'll check that out and see how it goes. And yeah, we're almost done with the month, which is crazy. Another month almost over. Coming up for me, like I said, I'm gonna be wrapping up Yakuza 0 tomorrow. So come check that out. We're gonna wrap it up there. And then Wednesday, I might start something new. We'll see. Thursday, I have a co-stream with a friend, which I gotta talk to her about a little bit here to figure out the exact details of that. But we're gonna be playing Sons of the Forest, so if you're into that, come check it out. It's gonna be a fun time. I'm sure of it. So don't miss out on that. Uh, Other than that, yeah, go follow me on all the things you see on the sidebar here. Got the YouTube, which I just uploaded, the official story trailer for Jedi Survivor, the reaction to that. Go check it out. Um, what else? The Yakuza, playthrough's been going up, and all the videos of the cantina go up there. Obviously, if you're watching this on YouTube, then you obviously know that. But yeah, go check out all the things, man. And we'll be back next week. Thank you guys. We'll see you later. Bye bye. Peace out.
Hi guys. As always, I appreciate everybody that's hanging out with us for the show. Love and appreciate you guys. Coming up for me, I might stream some WWE 2K23 GM mode on stream. We did some of that last year's game. If you're like, Josh, it's wrestling, I don't want to watch that. Trust me, some of the funniest shit can happen when you're watching it happen. Like, no joke. Something happened, I was streaming it in Discord the other night. Somebody went through a table and just started spinning in the middle of the ring, and we just busted out laughing. It's just some of the funniest stuff. So that might actually end up happening this next week here on the channel. Yeah, my reaction to Jedi Survivor trailer is also up on my YouTube, so make sure to check that out. Thank you to DT for, as always, being my awesome co-host of this awesome podcast that we've been doing for an awesome long time now. So yeah, thank you to everybody that showed up. And that is gonna do it. I am gonna throw the Twitch stream to somebody else, so stick around for that, and we will see you all next time. Bye bye, everybody.